Day two of the Sydney Test was a lot like watching Shankar Mahadevan's Breathless at a Rag Bhairavi concert. A rag that's meant to be very soothing, very calming, but Rishabh Pant, being Rishabh Pant, did what Rishabh Pant often does. Whether he fails or not is a different story. That's where this Test match stands at the end of day two. India 141 for six. Six wickets fell in that last session. India going all guns blazing, looking to take this game into another lever. India lead by 145. Lots of questions on our minds and yours as well. And a man who watched all that unfold in front of his eyes from a vantage point, Harsha Bhogle joins us on Cricbuzz Chatter. Mr. Bhogle, how fortunate are you and how envious are we of you that you get to watch such action and call it live for millions across the world?
All right, Mr. Batavia. I had great fun calling it. You're right. It's moved at a breathless pace, this Test match. I'm not sure it should, because traditionally Test matches at Sydney do not move at this pace. This is a very, very unusual Sydney surface. The amount of horizontal sideways movement is incredible. The bounce is just starting to be a little up and down, and batters are starting to think that we are actually not safe batting here, so we might as well get as many as we can. So I don't think it's ideal conditions. What it has done though is it's produced a riveting Test match. But so much hangs in the balance from here, and I think a lot could depend on the back of one bowler.
Now it's been a series that's not gone India's way. There's a lot of chatter from what's happening inside behind closed doors as well. We won't go there, but looking at the kind of zone India might have been in before this Test match started, Rohit not playing, India loop, going down 2-1. Were you surprised with India's approach with the bat and the ball?
I think there must have been a discussion about it, because they realized that in the first innings, the runs that they got at the end, those 25-30 runs they got at the end, were when you were taking the bowling on. So I think they realized that hanging in there was fraught with danger. They saw they saw what happened to Australia. Even someone like a Steve Smith, after he had made 30-32 runs, was still not sure of hitting the ball wherever he wanted to. So maybe they thought, look, let's take a chance. Let's hit them offline. If Jaiswal had lasted a little bit more, then I think it would have worked, because Australia, I think, were a bowler short. We saw Starc bowl. He never looked in rhythm, came back, bowled just one more over, never looked in rhythm. So they were a bowler short. But I thought India wanted to throw Australia a challenge, and they would have designated two players to do that, Jaiswal and Pant, and see where it takes you. I mean, that first over set the tempo. He was throwing his bat at it, and I think they just thought, look, let's unsettle them. If we get 185, 190, we've got a game on our hands, because this pitch is not getting any better. So yeah, I think there was a calculated decision after what happened in the first innings.
What does it tell you about the mindset that prevails in the dressing room right now? I'm just trying to imagine what Gautam Gambhir might have said to the team before this inning started. Go all out, even if it backfires, we'll see how it goes. Don't worry about social media chatter.
I don't think anyone should worry about social media chatter. I think there should be a new law that says you must not see what social media is saying, because it is not relevant to the game. It is not relevant to your approach. The primary thing at the moment there is to win a Test match for India. Because remember, you win a Test match here, you're looking at 2-2. You're looking at retaining the Border-Gavaskar trophy. And that is why I said at the start of this game, I hope they put up a photograph of Pat Cummins in the Indian dressing room saying he has never won a series against India, and let us keep it that way. So from that point of view, yes, I don't know who in the dressing room, though, would have taken this call, because Bumrah was unwell. Rohit Sharma, I don't know how much of a say Rohit Sharma wants to have in a Test match that he is not playing. So I don't know who had a say, but somebody said, look, let's take the game on, because otherwise the game is taking us on. And from that point of view, it was, yes, social media is not important, Manish. It's not important at all. It's just a lot of people having their say. And I will keep telling all these people, it's a very easy game from far, far away. And it's a very easy decision to take when you don't have to take it. I've been saying this for 15 years. So I don't think anybody should worry about social media. I think they can investigate afterwards why what happened has happened in social media. But at the moment, there's a game to be won. It's moved at a fantastic pace. It's allowed us a lovely spectacle to watch, and that's the only thing that matters.
Yes, and because we are Cricbuzz, we won't indulge in conjecture on who it could be, who was the one that got India to play the way they did.
But no one knows anyway. Nobody knows
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah,
So there's no point trying to speculate who it could be because we don't have clues. No one knows
yeah.
anyway.
Millions woke
So
up at 5 in the morning, Harsha, and I'm sure all the neutral Test cricket lovers got their money's worth or their time worth, sacrificing so much sleep for a really fast-paced day of Test cricket. Now, India clearly taking fear out of the equation. A lot has been spoken about great sporting teams taking fear out of the equation. Now fear is a word that seems alien to Rishabh Pant's life.
how do you want Rishabh Pant to bat? On a day like this, if he had just hung in there, would he have got 50 more? Would he have got 60 more? But I think he realized straight away that the way to score runs on this surface is to knock the bowlers off their line and length. If Boland keeps bowling that length, if even if someone like Abo Webster keeps bowling that length, not as much Cummins because he bowls shorter. If they keep bowling that length, then after a while you'll nick one. So how do we knock them off their length? And that is why that first ball. There's a theory about playing Scott Boland, which is if you let him bowl, he will bowl there for the next 3 months. So somehow one player takes a chance to knock him off that length, and that is why that first ball from Rishabh Pant. I'll tell you honestly, I'm working a lot with former Australian cricketers. I'm over on Fox Cricket. The one player that Australia is very worried about because he can change a game and win a game is Rishabh Pant. And
Hmm.
I thought in the first innings they took this genie and bottled him and put the cap on. And this time when he came and nobody was watching, just when he opened it and there he was out there. So look, Rishabh Pant batting like this will win you games. Occasionally he'll make you tear your hair out, which is not recommended because then you got to transplant it, but that's a separate story. But 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 look, some days he's going to play like this, and well, it's 145 already. I think it's already a tricky target, but yeah, it was breathtaking watching him go. And Australia were running out of ideas. Let's be honest.
It certainly was a hair-raising experience for Australia and for all those that watched from afar. Surely that six-letter word that starts with S and ends with D wasn't used, or was it?
Where are you taking me, Batavia? Where are you
Moving on.
taking me?
The word that I was referring to
Moving
is
on. No, no.
sacred.
I'll be
Such
honest.
sacred.
I'll be honest that there are moments in a game, and in fact, if you remember, that's what Rishabh said in his press conference at the end of the first day. That sometimes you have to adapt to the situation, you have to change your approach and do what is best for the side, and he did that in the first innings. In all honesty, but in this time, I think he just thought, look, there's way too much sideways movement on this track. One will get the edge. So let me just go for it. And it was fun to watch when there was not a soul whose eyes were anywhere. Suddenly, the coffee machine, which was always in overdrive, there was nobody there. Nobody was looking to peck around at something. Everybody was watching the game, and that's what players like him do.
Does he also impact how commentators get ready when he comes out to bat? Are you guys a lot more alert saying, oh, something's going to happen now?
After that first ball, yes. When he charged and hit a six of the very first ball, then he hit a four of the next ball. Then you knew something was going to happen. And I was calling most of it on Fox, and it was one. It was just like he'd been unleashed. He'd been told, listen, now go and do what you want. Go and control the game in the manner that you think is right. And it was breathtaking to watch. But this is my question that I keep posing again and again, and it's worth posing again even today. Which is the Rishabh Pant you want to see bat? Because if this kind of Rishabh Pant bats, then you've got to accept that it won't work on
It's
some days.
almost like a marriage
What did
vow, isn't it? In good times and bad, you stick with it, right?
hmm hmm
Moving
No, no,
on.
I'm the wrong generation for it. I'm the wrong generation for it. I'm a flag bearer for marriage, so you should know.
What about a young man who is starting to get this reputation of a generational talent, Yashasvi Jaiswal? Four fours in that first over, and all of us thought, hang on, this is a different Indian team.
Because he got the width. I think he would have made
Yeah.
up his mind that if I get width, I'm going to throw my bat at it. And if you see, all the boundaries came from a similar area because you could see that Starc was off rhythm today. When Starc goes off rhythm, suddenly he looks like a different bowler. And his numbers actually, as you come towards the end of a series, they just taper off. His numbers in the first three tests are vastly different from the fourth. Occasionally in the fifth, he'll come back. So he looked out of rhythm. The moment Jaiswal got room, you knew that he was going to go, and that set the tempo a little bit. But the ball that he got would be in a very small short list for the ball of the series. Bumrah has bowled a few, Cummins has bowled a few, but from an Indian perspective, I think it was on par. Some of the experts here thought it was even better than the one that Cummins bowled to KL Rahul to knock top of off. This was the mirror image of that, coming from round the wicket to the left-hander, straightening to hit top of off. It was a ball that would have got anybody out.
But for
That
the
Scott Boland, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where they lost Scott. I asked them, what was Scott Boland doing when he was 25 years old? Why did he have to wait till he was 33 years old to discover him? And he was bowling on lifeless MCG pitches, which just drives home the point that bowlers develop playing on lifeless pitches, because that is when they learn their craft. And he just bowls and he bowls and he bowls. If this game goes into an eighth day, Scott Boland will still be bowling on that spot.
what's Hazelwood thinking now?
And that's what we've all been thinking. Actually, would India not have minded having Hazelwood here instead of Boland? And it's just the way it is sometimes, that if your career overlaps with three outstanding bowlers, then you make the most of what you have. He strikes me as being a very uncomplicated kind of person. He strikes me as being someone, okay, I've got my chance. Wow, I'm very happy for my chance. I'll keep bowling over there. So he strikes me as that kind of bowler. Also, in these conditions, these are tailor made for him. In other conditions, you don't know. I mean, he played two test matches overseas, and he looked a shadow of himself. So these conditions are tailor made for him. Hits the deck hard. He's strong. One in, one out. One in, one out. That's what the game has been for the last 100 years.
Yes, so as has been the case with Australia, they often come into the international team very late, but when they do, they are sort of ready for the big stage. Now,
The
from an
way you're
India
going.
point of view, no,
I know
I'll
where
go
you're
back
going. Bo Webster. No, no,
to
Bo Webster 31. I was
31.
looking
Yeah,
at Bo Webster's numbers. Batting average equal to bowling average. So he's not been a great all rounder over a career, but over
yeah,
the last 3 or 4 years, magnificent. And even today, look, they attacked him, but he came back and picked up a wicket. It was his
yeah.
first wicket, but his 57 runs, the half century he made, has kept Australia in the game.
Now, for the India fan, if you were to plot India's mood index today on a graph, it yo-yoed from Rishabh Pant's exhilaration to Virat Kohli's exasperation. How does the Indian cricket lover digest or accept what's happening with Virat Kohli?
I'll tell you honestly, I was watching when Virat Kohli I was on air when Virat Kohli was batting. And you see the reaction of Virat Kohli after he gets out. When you've seen a great player play, and I've been privileged to have watched Virat Kohli over the years playing some sensational innings, winning matches, then, he knows he shouldn't be doing that, but he's drawn there. It is a treacherous passage that entices you in. It has all kinds of offering. It says, come into my parlor, come into my parlor. And Virat Kohli says, no, I know that is an illusion. I'm not going to go down that treacherous path, because the moment I enter, there's a precipice there, there's nothing there. And yet you're drawn towards it. You're drawn. And that is why he slapped his thigh, he slapped his helmet when he got out, because he realized that was something he should not have done, but he could not stop himself from doing it. It is that passage outside the off stump that is enticing but fraught with danger and treachery, and he fell for it again. And Manish, when you see great players, and you know that mind and body are not in sync, actions and thoughts are not in sync, then even the great can look like that sometimes. And as he was going back, there was just a feeling that in a land where he has played some of his most incredible innings, in a land where he announced himself literally as a test match player, has he played his last innings? I think the answer is yes. His last innings in Australia, I think the answer is yes. Let me clarify. His last test innings in Australia.
Right. Clearly, Australia would have spent a fair bit of time planning and plotting a way to get Kohli out or keep him quiet. One of those plans is to not talk to him, just let him be, do not instigate him because it doesn't work. The other plan was this. Scott Boland has a theory on Virat Kohli. He feels that Kohli sort of feels like he leaves a lot and then he wants to play the ball once he gets in. So once he gets in, we just want to switch our lines a little bit to the off fifth stump, and it's working at the moment. Perhaps a little more patience from Kohli might have helped.
It's easy to say. Look, player like Virat Kohli knows what to do. At the moment, it's not working for him. It's an area in which he's scored a lot of runs. He's not punching off the back foot. He's being drawn forward and he's edging and they're catching. I mean, he got away with it in the first innings, but it's a problem that is now reaching critical levels. He he doesn't have to play another test match here. There isn't another test match for 6 months. You've got 6 months to decide whether Virat Kohli is a central part of your side when you play five test matches in England. Because if Virat Kohli is going to England to start that test series, you must go with the idea of Virat Kohli playing five test matches there. So they've got time to think it over. He's got time to think it over because he's now going to move into his favorite format. His favorite format, the format in which he's been unparalleled, is the one day game. He's moving into that one day game at home and in the Champions Trophy. So we've got time to think it through now. But I think they've got to take a call before England because he has to play all five games there. If you're taking him there, you don't take a Virat Kohli and after one test match say, nahi, mujhe nahi lag raha. So there's a lot of thinking to do.
Before he takes that flight to Dubai, how about a detour to Saurashtra? I'm just looking at the Cricbuzz fixtures section. Elite
Yes.
Group D, Saurashtra versus Delhi, Ranji Trophy match, 23rd Jan. Should Kohli be playing that one?
There's no point you and me discussing it. We know he's not going to. We know he's not going to. 23rd of Jan, India playing T20 cricket. He'll take a break. Look, Virat Kohli today is a family man. He's got different objectives. So you and me know he's not going to be playing that game. I don't think Virat Kohli will have a problem adjusting on the 6th of February when he turns up to play one day internationals for India, which I think he will and he should. I don't think he'll have a problem adjusting. He's back on tracks that he understands. He's back on tracks with the ball's not doing very much. One day cricket, he'll play for as long as you want him to play. So that's not an issue at all. But I don't think you can look at that all you want. I don't think he's playing that one.
It's not an
It'll be
ideal
nice
one.
though for him to come back and make friends with Pujara in that game. But I don't know if Pujara is playing that one either.
The whole of India wants to be friends with Pujara. Please come back, is what they're all saying. We'll see if that story pans out the way we hope it does. Look at the batting card. Just one star performer in this lineup. 141 for 6 India. Rishabh Pant playing like only Rishabh Pant can. Now, when we look at this batting card, the one question that is on the minds of most cricket fans is what I'm going to ask you in the hotspot. Did India play too safe on day one? Should they have been a little bit braver, much like they were on day two?
In retrospect, you can say yes, but you did not know that when you started to play on day one. Now, remember, before day one, India are a wounded side. India are
Yeah.
a side that's been attacked from all corners. There's all kinds of insinuations going around. There's all kinds of leaks happening. India is a beleaguered side going into this fifth test match. So you can
Yeah.
understand why they batted the way they did. They thought, look, on this track, you go in first, you hang in there, you eke out the runs, you make 225, 250 on this track, then we are in a position to start controlling the game because you know it's a difficult track. So I can
Yeah.
understand why they went about it, even though at various points it was becalmed. I think at one point India was scoring two and over. Now that maybe was stretching it too far. Maybe India should have looked for to rotate the strike a little bit more, look for twos. But at that point, nobody knew that this wicket is going to stay the way it is for as long as it does. So I can understand why they did, even if it ended up being a little counterproductive and even if it ended up being overcautious. But I can understand why they played the way they did. But yeah, I mean, I think beyond a point they should have looked to score three and over instead of just the two and over.
The first two
India did.
sessions of day two, though, belong to India, courtesy of the bowlers now. And how rare is it, Harsha, to see an Indian bowling card where Bumrah is not the top wicket taker?
And one of the things that emerged today was once Bumrah went off. Remember when Bumrah goes off, it's like being invited to dinner and someone taking the plate away. So now suddenly you're thinking, what do I do here? And I thought that is where both Siraj and Prasidh Krishna stepped up. Siraj has been magnificent in this test match. I thought he bowled brilliantly with the new ball today, getting beautiful shape. Prasidh Krishna's first spell was disappointing, but he came back, and I think as he got his first wicket, his second wicket, he started to grow. And if he's in that right frame of mind, I think he will be a handful when Australia come back to chase down this target on the third day. But irrespective of what target India set, it all depends on the state of one back. If that back is good to go for one more day, and then you can put it away for 4 or 5 weeks, then 180, 185 is looking like a difficult target to chase. If you're only going in with two pacers plus Nitish Kumar Reddy, then yeah, you're thinking 220, 230, but you're struggling because remember, there's been Nathan Lyon has not bowled a single over. There is
Yeah.
nothing for the spinner in this case. But if India don't have Bumrah, then India are in a spot of bother because these two will have to bowl a lot.
Does Siraj give you the impression that he blossoms a lot more when he is the go-to guy when Bumrah is not around? Not to say that he wouldn't want Bumrah at the other end, but does he do better when he is the go-to guy?
I it's a fair call because a lot of his excellent performances have come when he's been the leader of the attack. 16
Yeah.
overs, 3 for 51 is good. And he's look, if you tell Siraj in the second inning that you have to give me 20 overs, he'll give you 20 overs. You tell him you've got to give me 25, he'll give you 25. You shouldn't need that from him, but maybe something comes alive in him that maybe he just thinks it's up to me. So I think we'll have to use numbers to check that out. But if Siraj is firing, Bumrah is firing, then I think Australia have a very tricky fourth innings. And remember, this game is not a draw. Australia have to win this to retain Border-Gavaskar. So there's as much pressure on Australia as there is on India.
Yeah, Siraj ensured that Constas and Travis said, don't grab the headlines, both of them in the same over. Webster on his test debut scoring 57. Now, you and DK on Cricbuzz Chatter talked about how we need to judge this pitch only once both teams have batted once. What's your assessment of how it's behaved, and what's the general word in Australia among Aussies on what the pitch curator has done?
I Irrespective of what people say about what the curator has done, this is not a good enough track for Test match cricket. If I was Australia, let alone India, if I was Australia, I would be very disappointed with this attack because I'm leading 2-1. I want a nice, high scoring match. I get in, doesn't matter if it's a draw for me because at 2-1, I want to win. A draw is good enough for me. So I think the Australians would be very disappointed with the kind of track that there is. I mean, since 2010, they haven't got bowled out for a score like this. Suddenly, the batters are looking uncertain. Usman Khwaja's future is looking uncertain.
Yeah.
Sam Consis is looking like a guy whose lip is working more than his bat. Suddenly, everyone's thinking, where are we? So, if I was Australia, I'd be disappointed. But by whatever parameter you look at, this pitch is not a great pitch for Test match cricket, I'm afraid, especially for the decider of a marquee series like this.
What's in store on day three? We'll find out from Harsha Bhogle in Fast Forward. Now, we saw a visual of Bumrah walking up, in fact, almost jogging up the stairs, going into the dressing room. So he looks okay. But the news from Sydney is that he's got a back spasm, according to Prasidh Krishna. Bumrah at 100% and Bumrah at, say, 70%. Would the total be different in India's mind?
The fact that Bumrah's available to bowl, that the pitch is still treacherous, 70% Bumrah, India will take with both hands. 100% Bumrah, India will throw a party. 100% Bumrah means there's fear in the opposition camp because the one thing I have seen, and it's something we talked about with DK as well on Cricbuzz Chatter right through this series, is that there is awe about and fear about what Bumrah can do. So if it's just a spasm and it doesn't come again, if you can control it, that's great. If it's a deeper issue and they're worried about his future, then I'm afraid it's going to be a little tricky. So I'm saying if Bumrah is available at 100%, 185, 190 is difficult to get. If Bumrah is not available to bowl, or if Bumrah is a shadow of the bowler that he's available to bowl, then you need a little bit more. Now, I don't know how the track will play. There's a feeling that if it was hot through the day, as it dried out, it would get quicker, easier to bat. No, we didn't see that. Try telling Jaiswal that as the game goes on, it gets easier to bat. He'll say, no, show me something else. Take a look at my dismissal. So I think this track is going to play like this. So Bumrah fit and raring, 185, 190, very tricky for Australia. Bumrah not available. You need 215, 220. Washington Sundar, Jadeja, just get the runs. I think once you cross Washington Sundar and Jadeja, do what Bumrah did in the first innings. Because you don't have the
200
skill.
plus.
Yeah, you don't have the skill to
200.
withstand the bowling beyond these two. 200
Right.
plus,
Sometimes
very good.
good to look. Yeah. 200 plus chased only once in the last 24 years at the STG, only once as a team won. 7 losses and 4 draws. That's what the numbers say, but then players are meant to defy history. We'll see which way the dice rolls. At this stage, though, Harsha, 60-40 in favor of India, or is it even Stevens?
No, I think the lead is just about 140 plus at this stage. You require a couple of good balls, and Australia could be chasing 160 to win. So at this stage, I'm actually putting Australia marginally ahead at this stage. If the moment India start to put together a partnership between these two, then Australia will start to feel the heat. But at this stage, I think Australia is still ahead. Anything under 180, Australia is still ahead.
Quick recap of where things stand at the end of day 2 in this fifth test match at the Sydney Cricket Ground. India 141 for 6. Rishabh Pant, the star on this eventful Saturday at Sydney. 141 for 6. India lead by 145 runs. The good news is that Bumrah's troubles are not too big. It's only a back spasm. And Indian fans will hope that he's back at his best on day 3. The other good news for all of you Cricbuzz fans is that the wonderful Dinesh Karthik will be back in the company of Harsha Bhogle. So do catch them
No,
in
but
action tomorrow evening.
he's gone to play cricket.
South Africa.
He's gone for the SA20, hasn't he?
DK is at this very interesting juncture in his life where he can play, he can coach and commentate all at the same time for the same game.
No, I just wonder. We'll have to tell DK when he rocks up to play he's playing for Pal Royals, isn't he?
Yeah,
when he rocks up to play there, to remember that he's playing as wicketkeeper and batter, not suddenly to start doing commentary or to suddenly look at camera and say, right, I'm ready for CB Chatter. Oh, sorry, next ball's coming up to keep wickets here.
Surely they'll have him mic'd up.
And then I'm sure, and then he'll come back. He'll come into the studio for Cricbuzz, and next thing you know is he's sitting in the dugout for RCB with Virat Kohli most likely as captain, sitting and deciding strategy for them. I sometimes want to go back to his house. I've been to his house. It's a magnificent house, and I felt very proud to see the house that he has built. But I want to explore that house quietly and see how many hats there are in that house. Whether he's putting on a father hat, he's putting on a husband hat, he's putting on a coach hat, he's putting on a commentator hat, he's putting on finisher hat, he's putting on wicketkeeper hat, he's putting on Instagram influencer hat, he's putting on doing a reel every day, advertising campaign every day hat. One hat, how many hats can it have?
Dinesh Karthik
Are you going to play this film tomorrow?
This clip is going to him straight away, right at the end of this show. He is the busiest man in cricket. So DK, on behalf of all of us at Cricbuzz, hats off. Cricbuzz Chatter returns at Stumps on day 3. Bye for now.